Hello friends, and welcome to this week's vlog. This past week for me was one for the record books. If you recall, I mentioned in last week's video that I was to be flying in from Michigan this week, just getting a bunch of meetings out of the way, and I was going to fly back up to Michigan. Obviously, all of these meetings and appointments were booked before we made the decision to come back to Orlando completely for the summer. So I had the new puppy, all the dogs, the household, and everything, trying to manage everything. I was back and forth to Longboat Key, which is about 3 hours from the house, and then coming home on one of those trips, it was about a 4-hour drive back because of torrential rain and traffic and everything. Then I had a menu tasting on Friday at the Ritz-Carlton, all-day meetings on Wednesday, and even today's Sunday, a meeting yesterday morning, which was my birthday, and it was a lovely one. And so I'm taking today, Sunday, to just sort of relax and decompress from the week. A week very well spent and productive, but a very busy week nonetheless. So I am still trying to adjust to this heat. It is so unbelievably hot. The air is just so thick and hot, and of course it's very, very humid here. So anyway, naturally I'm not driving anywhere without my sort of gloves here so that I don't sunburn the top of my hands and get wrinkles and sunspots, and I just love these little affordable things here. So on to yesterday. So yesterday was my birthday, and it was so simple but so nice. Probably one of the loveliest birthdays I can ever recall having in such a really long time. My husband was actually driving back from Michigan. That's a really long story. One for another time. And so he did make it back though by about 6:30, so that was nice. I had the meeting, and then my youngest, Carolina, came over. We went food shopping, and then she cooked me a really, really lovely dinner. And then my oldest, Sarah, called in the early evening, and she really, really wanted us all to be together. And recall, Sarah lives in Atlanta, so she wanted us all to watch a movie together on FaceTime and such. So, you know, the kids did a whole like 3, 2, 1, press play, and we watched this video together and just sort of giggled and laughed and talked through it till way past my bedtime. But moms out there, I mean, if you know, you know. When you have a 30-year-old and a 26-year-old that want to spend time like that and celebrate your birthday like that, I am all in. It was so lovely. And my husband sent the most beautiful arrangement of flowers to me, had them delivered while he was en route. They are so gorgeous. My friend Lana with Fairbanks Florist designed them, and they're so, so lovely. And then where I had my floral presentation, the gentleman there at RJ Glam put together a lovely arrangement for me, and that was just so nice. The house looks so joyful in there with all of these fresh flowers. So one thing that's been on my mind though, as I've been going back and forth, it seems like all over Florida this week, is I'm seeing so many people, like, not just embracing, just kind of, it's more than looking forward to and wanting fall and autumn. And I get that. It's a beautiful season. Like, I love all the seasons for what they are. But almost embracing it, and I get it. It's hot. But what I don't understand is why we're not still appreciating summer. To me, it feels like we're not living in the moment. I don't know. Maybe I'll expand on that in a little bit. It's just, I mean, the retail stores, it seems like earlier and earlier, they start rolling out the next season's decorations. And I think even before I left Michigan, I was seeing Halloween decorations in retail stores like Michael's and things like that. We had a piece of art framed in Michael's, so we went in and I saw that. And it was July at that point. So I know there are Halloween enthusiasts. Trust me, I know my children are too among them. But it's August. It's right. Today is August 9th, and we have like a month and a half almost of summer left. And I just don't understand why we're just sort of not appreciating it. And I get it. It's hot. But anyway, those are that's my 2 cents on that matter. I might expand. Anyway, I am at a fun place here. I'm at Palmer's feed. There's a beautiful nursery near me called Palmer's Nursery, and my mother-in-law, every time she visits, she asks us to take her there. She loves it there. I'm here at the feed because I'm looking for seeds, and I'm going to eye up what they have in terms of the seeds, veg plants, things like that, flowers, and it's just, I told you, I am itching so hard to garden again. So I'm here. I see some garden beds behind me here as well. I'd be really curious to see what they are managing to grow in this incredible heat. And yeah, I'll see if I can get some footage there. I'm starting to plan my seeds. They should be going into the garden beds or in the greenhouse. I'm going to start them, and then so I can transplant, because fall is our most prolific gardening season. So I really want to plan and consider this thoughtfully and carefully so that we can yield some really great harvests. So I am bracing myself for leaving this air-conditioned car, and I can't wait to see what we see inside. Okay, here are one of the garden beds, and if you're lucky, you're going to hear some of these chickens. But this looks like aubergine, and I'm going to keep my distance because I am very allergic to eggplant. But they look beautiful, and I so wish that I could not only grow them, but I could eat them, because I actually grew up loving eggplant. And it was a later in life allergy, so it's very sad. Ooh, it looks like we have some sweet potatoes here, and that appears to be some peppers. Lovely. Okay, this also looks like peppers, and you know, I had my hand at this as well this season, but these look amazing. I was growing pepperoncinis and did really well with those before we left for Michigan. Looks like there's some more bell peppers here, but my goodness me, theirs are so big. They look so good. I may try to do those again too, because pickling them would be great, and I wouldn't have to buy them in the store. Ooh, look how big those bell peppers are over there. Oh, this is getting me so excited. How sweet is this? This is Grandma's farm, and I guess you can pet and feed them. Oh, someone's getting feisty in here. But they have these sweet, oh, this is so cute. Here's chicken. Or is that? Yes. Oh, here. Here's the chicken coop, right here. Yay, look at all of these magnificent seeds. This is going to be a good season for kale, and I definitely want some chives. That should do well. So I really have to consider some companion gardening to make the most out of everything. And while my husband likes this little kind of cherry tomatoes, I love the big ones and the heirloom ones, like this beefy purple. That looks really good too. Camping out in front of the greenhouse, Mr. Carson. Looks like Freddie's very curious in the greenhouse. Don't get stuck in there, buddy. Of course, Carson is going to follow him no matter what. I am collecting cardboard over here. I'm going to lay that in the garden bed before I started putting things in. This will help control the weeds. I lay it down, spray it down with water, then I will start covering it up with some soil and dark soil. And I love the black cow there for the top layer, which is more manure, and it's really great for all of the flowers and the seeds. This boy is getting curiouser and curiouser with every day. Does it look today all of a sudden it looks like he maybe grew. I don't know. I love his little puppy body though, but he's gonna be a big boy. Here's Molly. Come here, Billy. Hi, Billy. Okay, so I got rained on while I was at the Palmer's feed store, hence the hat. Plus I'm channeling my reunion because I need to get back to Disney, and I am taking the day off tomorrow, and I'm meeting some friends out there, and I'm going to spend a full day, and I know I'm going to be hot and sweaty and gross, but I don't care because I'm going to the parks tomorrow, and I could not be more excited. Anyway, I made some progress while I was at the feed store and garden center in that I did get some seeds. Very excited about that. And I do have seed trays here. I just sort of collected them from when I had planted marigolds the last season, and these will work perfectly. I didn't want to buy a whole like set of trays just for the sake of buying seedling trays or what have you. So I've been saving these, and I'm so glad that I did because this will work perfectly. However, sometimes it can be, you know, hit or miss, and I don't know, you get very personally invested with your plants and seeds and seedlings, and sometimes if it gets too leggy or when you take it out and you want to transplant, it sort of is either not viable or it breaks or something like that. So I also got these, and I found them very, very interesting. These are seed starting pots, and what I like about this is I can put my seeds in here, wait for them to get ready, and then literally just plant them into the garden bed like this, and then this part just biodegrades. So this is very exciting to me because it seems very sort of foolproof, so I will report back on this video. So today we're not planting any seeds because I've been really carefully and thoughtfully preparing the garden beds and really trying to see what will be viable this upcoming season. So I know that everyone sort of thinks the spring is great, but here in Central Florida, gardening in the fall is the most prolific. I think I mentioned that earlier, but we really have at least 5 months of growing season. So though I have the seeds here, there may be a few I could start within this week or next weekend. Naturally, I will take you along with me on that. But I do have to wait a little bit longer till at least the end of the month and the beginning of September, because it truly is just still too hot. And I will have them protected here in the greenhouse, but what you can't see behind me is I have windows propped open here as well. During the day I try to keep this door open a little bit just for the ventilation, because as you can imagine, why greenhouses are so important to people maybe in other areas is to keep it warm and things thriving. Here it is truly a sauna. I mean, I should put red light therapy in here. It can be so hot, but it has a fan, and so I run that. When I keep the windows open, I mean, naturally it's warm outside, but it's not excruciating as if I were to keep everything closed. So I also got this organic seed starter potting mix. I just want to set myself up for complete success, so I'm going to be using this in the trays and the little starter cups over here. And again, just setting myself up for success. Now let me show you, whoops, the seeds that I got. Okay, so I went a little seed happy, but I'm not complaining. You know, compared to, and this is no shade because trust me, I've gardened by buying the plants, you know, at a big box store or a garden center and planting them into my garden bed, oftentimes either because I was too late to the game in the season, because of my work schedule, and so I just wanted to get things in the ground and or the garden bed as soon as possible to yield a harvest, or I was just not confident enough and I felt like that was foolproof. But I'm ready to grow up a little bit in my gardening journey, and so I am really embracing the seeds. And so anyway, this is clearly more affordable. I have a girlfriend, Tabitha. By every stretch of the imagination, she's still a relatively young gardener. She hasn't been gardening very long, but she's really, really been very successful at it. And when I tell you, that woman does not pay for seeds. She just doesn't. She has, if you want to go check her out, she does a lot of her gardening tips on TikTok at Firefly Farms, and I will leave that in the show notes for you. But she did this thing where she puts, she'll get seeds from a vegetable she's eating, dry it out, and then she will wrap it in a moist paper towel, put in a baggie, and stick it on one of her windows in the house. And then that acts as a mini greenhouse. And then before you know it, I mean, she's very, very creative and very successful. So here I have some bunching onions, so otherwise known as scallions. You know, it's pretty difficult and pretty long and arduous process to grow onions. Like, it's kind of like garlic. It has to stay in the bed for months and months and months and months. And I don't know. I just don't know that I want to use some of my valuable garden bed space waiting that long for something. And I do love scallions. I love just having them in the refrigerator at all times, just to top a meal and just for the flavor. I love it. So I got cucumber seeds. Let's see, hold on. I know I got two. Yeah, 2 cucumber seeds. Now this one is the kind that will climb, and a nice snacking cucumber. If you can see behind me, and I did a garden tour before, but in this garden bed here, I have 2 arches that my husband made for me and put in the garden. So I'm going to put the cucumber on one side so that it can crawl up the trellis. They love to climb. And on the other side, they have this cucumber, and so this cucumber I can pickle. So I really also want to start making my own pickles. I'm very excited about this. I'm very excited too. These climb. I also, not just for the yield and the harvest, but kind of for the aesthetic, I really, really want to utilize these arches that I have, because when things grow on there, it will be this beautiful canopy, and I just think it will look so, so beautiful. So I also have these sugar snap peas, but the pods are purple, and I really sort of vacillated back and forth as to whether or not to get these or just the traditional sugar snap peas you see, but honestly, I think the purple will make it easier to identify, and this way I'll pick them. I also love the unique color. The peas are still green inside, but even when you cook them, I hear that the purple fades a little bit, but it still maintains, and I think that's really cool. Chives, I had chives in Michigan, and I just never want to be without chives again, so I'm going to contemplate how I'm going to companion garden that with something else. Kale, I hear this next season, the autumn, is great for growing kale, so I got my favorite, which is the Licento or the dinosaur kale. Very, very excited about that. And then these are just, to me, the most fun to grow. And these next 3 are tomatoes. So this would be Mr. Lyon's favorite. He loves sort of the smaller tomatoes, the cherry tomatoes, and these are called sweeties. So that's great. I love a beautiful heirloom tomato, and I also love sort of when they're ugly. I just think there's beauty in the flaws. So this one is a Castelluto Genovese, and just, I can tell by the way they sliced it, it's a beautiful heirloom. So it says a taste of Italy in every bite. Oh, you know which one I didn't get? Darn it. We'll see if I have room, but I wanted to get Roma tomatoes as well. And then this one is called pork chop, but look at that beautiful yellow. I cannot wait to see these. And these also will grow tall, like 6 to 7 feet tall. So perhaps on the other arch, on the other side, I will have those too. And can you just imagine this beautiful fruit just hanging there, just for the picking? Okay, but for now, since I cannot really plant anything in the garden bed for now, to scratch that itch, I thought I would start my broccoli sprouts again and my bean sprouts again. So I am learning more and more every day about broccoli sprouts, and I've mentioned this before. I knew they were healthy, but how these are truly the best thing that you can put in your body. So healthy for you, many benefits, and it has a lot of cancer fighting properties, which is always a plus. And again, because I am a pescatarian, always looking for ways to increase my protein in general, since I don't eat meat, these bean sprouts are great. And it's really got a great sort of nutty or bean-like flavor. It's very subtle, but it's there. It's lovely on salads. It's lovely on everything. Honestly, the broccoli sprouts we put on salads. We put it on top of eggs and things like that. I heard that someone puts it in their smoothies, and so I found that interesting. So I will do those here in these two sprouting jars right here. And I'll take you along that process. And I have not done this in a long time, at least here in Florida, but I grow pea shoots all the time in Michigan, and I absolutely love them. I feel like our first summer that we were living up there, I noticed pea shoots on everything, and I would notice this really mild, beautiful flavor on top of things. And I finally asked what it was, and it's pea shoots, and I just remember going to a farmer's market, recognizing that there were pea shoots, and bought some. And like the little bag, like a bag, was like $7.99, and I thought, there's got to be a better way. And there is. It's so easy to grow your own pea shoots. So I thought I would do that to you while I talk a little bit more about how I am still trying to embrace summer. I mean, 100-degree temperatures and all. Again, I love autumn as much as the next person. I love the Halloween spirit. I love all of those things. I love something about every single season, but I just am struggling to understand why, other than marketing and other than retailers, why there is such a push for the fall and for autumn at the beginning of August. And quite frankly, I've been seeing it since even July. I mentioned that I saw Halloween decorations in Michigan, and listen, this is not exclusive to Michigan. I've seen it here as well in Orlando, and I somewhat understand it, but even Walt Disney World has their Halloween decorations up. They went up this past week, and it was the first week of August. I just struggle to understand, like, did we give up on summer after the 4th of July? Or where exactly are we drawing that line? And sort of like, I guess the bigger question is, like, when is it enough? And when are we satisfied? And can we live in the moment? It's kind of like our phones. Like, once you are separated from your phone for a little bit, and I had this conversation with someone yesterday, clients of mine that are going on a cruise, it's like, when you go on a cruise, it's harder to be on your phone because either you buy the internet package, and even when you buy the internet package, it's not that great. So you're forced to really leave your phone behind. And I always used to joke that it would take me the first 12 hours to sort of decompress and like realize that I didn't have access to my phone, mainly from a work perspective. But come on, let's be honest. I mean, also from like a social media perspective, and just sort of a connection sort of perspective. But by the way, I'm doing the pea shoots now here. Let me kind of show you what I'm doing. So I just filled this tray here. Let's see, can you see? Yes. This tray here with some peat moss. So this needs more of a lighter kind of soil, if you will. This one really helps to retain the moisture here and everything. And I have the best luck when I use this kind of peat moss here with this. So it's pretty dry. It's been sitting in here this whole summer, but I'm going to give it a nice drink of water here. And I used to be very sparing and very careful and very methodic when I would put these seeds in, but now I just literally throw them in and I get so much more out of it. And when I do it this way too, I find that I almost get 2 rotations of crops, so I can cut it and then some will be growing back. So it's not like I get all at once. Again, we like to put this on salads, on sandwiches, on bagels with cream cheese, you name it. I actually challenge you, the next time you go out to a restaurant, you will see likely pea shoots or some sort of microgreen on your plate as a garnish, which is perfectly edible. So there we have there. I'm going to put some water on it. We'll continue our chat. Okay, they just had a nice drink of water, so I'm going to put another thin layer here of the peat moss to cover it up so then it can then germinate and sprout. It will take about a week for this. Then I'll give it another sort of watering. It'll take about a week for these to pop up, and then I'll probably be cutting from it for the next 2 weeks, which is great. And it gives us so much. I can fill a whole little Tupperware with it. So there you have it. This is covered up. In this house, I struggle with windowsills. They're very narrow. So I don't have a real windowsill that this can go on. So I might put it on one of the shelves here. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'm going to put it on a shelf right over here. In the greenhouse, obviously keep the windows open and the fan on so that it doesn't get excruciatingly hot in here. But this, for those of you, you don't need a greenhouse for this, obviously. If you have a great windowsill, if not, even a ledge, just, it needs sort of filtered light. It doesn't need direct sun. This is great. Or if you live in an apartment or a townhouse on your patio, this is just a great way to just sort of, like I say, get your hands in dirt and grow something that you can eat, which I love to do. So next we're going to do the bean sprouts while we chat a little bit. But again, I feel like I'm on a soapbox about this, but let's say now we're in autumn, and I'll even give us, I mean, September is autumn, even late September, but I would say after Labor Day, I'm kind of like, okay, it's autumn. I can get there with all of that. But then what? Do we stay in autumn, or are we now yearning for Christmas and like our winter holidays? And then at that time, then what? When will it be enough is sort of what I mean. It just has me so reflective, particularly since, and I'm going to pop it up on the screen right over here, but I just finished a book in 3 sittings this week that I feel reinforced what I've already spoken about and what I've been thinking about a lot lately since I've been seeing all of this like autumn craze and craziness. And this book is called Theo of Golden. And not to be dramatic, but a little bit to be dramatic, I feel like that book changed me. There's so many layers to this book. There's so much to talk about, and that just within it is a book of fiction. To me, the storytelling was beautiful, and it was so articulately written in so many areas with beautiful words, and then also so simple. It just felt really, really good to get lost in this book, which had so many beautiful, meaningful messages. And I think that one of those messages, amongst many, that I pulled away from this book was sort of being in the present. And then there is this overarching theme, of course, which is loving well. And are you living your life loving well enough? So there is a main character there, Theo, who I wish I was adopted by Theo. Let's just put it that way. So the book is beautiful. I'm not going to go too much into it because it is my sincere hope that you get the book yourself. I will admit to having gotten it, broccoli sprout time. And this is 2 tablespoons, putting it right in my mason jar here. I'm going to show you how easy it is to do this. So two tablespoons in here. I'm going to fill it with some filtered water. So I will say with Theo of Golden, I did download it to my Kindle. It was my every intention to do it that way, to read it that way, and consume it that way. And I've had, by the way, a really great summer of reading. I'm just super proud of myself. I've been reading both with my e-reader, my Kindle, and on Audible if I'm moving about and things like that. So I do have it downloaded on my Kindle, and I'm very glad for that because I just have a feeling I'm gonna go back to that book. It was that good. I don't ever remember loving a book the way I love this book, and I'm gonna say it's a favorite. It's definitely a favorite. So I had it there, but because I had this crazy week with all of the meetings, all over the place. I was in the car a lot. I think I drove something like 800 miles this week, just for work. It was kind of crazy. So, so then I also decided, I'm like, well, I kind of really want to get through this book. I had started to hear about it. And that's just it. This book was self-published, and I think in 2023 or 2024, and this gentleman, the author, Alan Levi, just gave it like the manuscript to a few friends, and they're like, you should do something with this. And then just word of mouth, people started to buy it. So here we have I just filled some water here. You stir it about. I'm going to let this sit for 12 hours like this before I drain it. It has this filtered lid right here, so that after the 12 hours, so tomorrow morning I'll get back to this and I drain it, and then you do that twice a day. So once in the morning, once at night, same time, you fill it up with some filtered water, drain it, and then within 4 or 5 days I will have sprouts, and I'll show you that when those come out. So this book, I wound up downloading it on Audible and started it from the car and all these rides. And again, I'm not going to give much away from this, but you know how a good book, and I certainly hope someone picks this up, please, please, Lord, someone picks this up for a movie, because I already feel like I know the actor who I want to portray Theo. If you've read the book, please let me know in the comments, and let me know if you think that this should become a movie. So I started reading it in the car. Now, you know how a good book will sometimes get you emotionally, meaning like you're crying or something like that. Maybe at the end, because you finished it and it ended in a beautiful way, or maybe even a sad way, or maybe there was an experience within the middle of the storytelling and that got you emotional or something like that. Certainly when I read Isabel Klee's book, Dogs, Boys, and Other Things I Cried About, you know, I cried at the end, and things like that. But this one, I felt like I cried almost every chapter, or it was rising within me. It was emotional, but in a very sweet way. So I don't want to scare anyone off with that. Number one, because I am an extreme empath, and also just because it is very, very, very sweet. Again, it was a reminder to me to live my life loving well. It really reinforces faith, and you don't have to be a certain religion to appreciate this. This is not what that is about. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful book, and I love it. So again, if any of you have read Theo of Golden, would you please let me know in the comments. I have been yearning to have a conversation with someone who has read this book. I posted something similar on my Instagram stories and my Facebook stories this weekend, and a few people were coming in here and there also feeling very much the same way I do, and I've had some really great conversations there, but I would love to have it with this community as well. I've convinced my parents to read it. There's another wedding planner that reached out to me. She's going to read it, although she's on a waiting list from her library. And she's like, gosh, I have to wait 6 weeks. I'm like, it's worth the wait. It's worth the wait. Go ahead and do it. And if you have read the book and you're interested just to learn more about this author and just behind the scenes, I'm always so fascinated behind the scenes. He did a really, really terrific interview with Oprah, and it was so good. The book is like a big hug. Anyway, I can't say enough about it clearly. So, all right, I think that I need to set myself up for a really good week coming up. I mentioned I'm going to Disney World tomorrow. I could not be more excited. I'm very excited that I have things to look forward to here, now growing here in Orlando, which I'm doing indoors at the moment. And then probably by next weekend, I will be putting some seeds in the trays and in those pots to start that process. And then definitely next month, I will start to also plan the plot of the garden beds, and I will strive to share that with you next week. So I think this week is going to be a lot more smooth, a lot more calm. By the way, Carson is doing great. It was a little touch and go with his siblings, just because I think the puppy in Carson unleashed this past week. Obviously the first few days he was mellow, he was in a new situation and everything. But the puppy energy is here, and don't forget, the 3 seniors are just like over it. I think Freddie's definitely not alpha, so he's a little nervous around him. But when I tell you that Carson was on the couch and launched off and jumped on Billy's back, like, that's also what kind of week I had last week while I was driving everywhere. So it's doing well. He's still having some pee-pee accidents in the house, but overall he's just doing so well. He lets us clean his ears. He lets us just sort of manhandle. We're trying to get him like sort of desensitized as much as possible, and we really still are sticking to the script with The Art of Raising a Puppy, that book that I shared with you last week. It is a lot of work, but it is definitely yielding results. We definitely see it. So our goal this week was to get him used to a collar, and we put it on him. He just kind of fussed a little bit, but now I'll put it on him randomly on different times of the day, and he's good with it. So we'll start leash training that way a little bit. I'm also walking around with the leash in my pocket because he follows me and I don't want him to be scared of the leash. Thank you, Monks of Crete, or Screte, whatever, The Art of the Puppy authors. And yeah, so training is going really well, but it is another full-time job. But I will leave you with all of this, friends. I hope that you embrace summer. Maybe we can also share summer recipes next week so that we can live in the moment, and let's appreciate every season for what it is. That's me stepping off of my soapbox for now, and I wish you all a wonderful week ahead, and I look forward to seeing you in next week's video. Bye-bye.